That was Once Upon a Time by Karen Takana. This is the B2 piece of the ABRSM Grade 2 Flute exam pieces. Let's have a look at the piece in general. If you have a look at the time signature, you will see that it says 4-4. The top 4 referring to there are 4 counts in a bar, the bottom 4 referring to those counts as crotchets, so we have 4 crotchets in a bar. If we have a look at the key signature, you will see that it has a B flat. Now, if there are no accidentals in the piece, this would be F major, or if there's a C sharp, then this would be a D minor. However, there are other accidentals in the piece, such as B flats, E flats, A flats, and D flats. And there's also E natural in there as well. What this means is that this piece doesn't have a straightforward key. It goes through the different keys, so in bar 1 to bar 2 we're in E flat, in bar 3 to 6 we're in F major, then bar 7 to 8 we're in B flat, bar 8, 9 to 12 we're in E flat, and bar 13 to the end we're in A flat. We're progressively going through the scale, the flat scales, as we've gone past the first phrase. So let's have a look at the accidentals first. Starting off with B flat, on our left hand we have thumb and first finger, on our right hand we have first finger and pinky. This is the same fingering for both the B flats we're playing in this piece. Then comes E flat. Now E flat is everything on our left hand, and then on our right hand we have thumb, third finger and fourth finger. Now this is the only E flat we're playing. We do have an E natural, so from an E flat to an E natural we're pushing down the left hand, first finger, and lifting off our fourth finger on the right hand. Right, on to the A flat. Now A flat is everything on our left hand, and then on the right hand is just the pinky. Again, this is the same fingering for both the A flats we are playing. And last we have the D flat. The D flat is just the pinky on our right, just to be careful that we don't drop our left hand, because we still need to support our flute and not let it drop from our lips. Now this is again the same fingering for both the registers we're playing. Now let's then have a look at the speed. The speed is crotchet equals 92, so this is the kind of speed we're going to be aiming for when we get to the exam. And then underneath the speed you see expressio. Now this means we need to play the piece, well, expressively. In terms of a form, this piece doesn't have a structure associated with the form. It's more through compose, and you just kind of go through the scales in the keys. Right, let's have a deep dive into the piece itself. Let's have a look at breathing in this piece first. If you have a look at the footnote of the piece, you see that says, if necessary, players could take additional breaths, such as before the last quaver of bar 1 and in similar places, and on the bar line between bar 18 and 19. Now, it's written there because the intention is for us to take a deep breath and play the long phrase, and then take a breath at the rest. So those are at bar 4, bar 8 and bar 9, bar 12 and bar 17. Now, it could be difficult for new players, developing players, players who've not played for a long time and need to regain their breathing again, so that is why they've put those in there. So the other places are before the quavers in bar 6 and bar 14, and that's about it. So, to help us do a good breathing, we need a good posture that will help us to store the air. Now, one of the first things to do is to stand up straight and then have our shoulders back. What this does is this expands our lungs outwards so that we can have more air in. When we're breathing in, we also want to breathe in as deep as possible. So we're expanding our stomach so that we're letting air go down into your diaphragm as well. So we're creating as much volume in our lungs, not only by expanding our chest, but also deepening our stomach as well. So once you've breathed in, when we're breathing out, I like to push and tense my abs. Now this helps me do a controlled breathing. And once I push all of the air out of my stomach, then I do a little bit of letting loose of my shoulders and collapsing my lungs that way. And that way I can get the little last bits of air through. Now, one of the things that we can do to control the air is the dynamics. So we're only playing to the dynamic required so that we're not wasting the air, because playing the flute is a lot of wasting air, and if you play louder then you're going to waste more air. That's it on the breathing. Now let's actually get into the technical aspects. We start on beat 3 at the start of the piece. Now we're not on beat 1, so it's less on emphasis on the start of the phrase, but there is still a little bit. We're starting on an MP and mezzo forte, so mediumly soft, and then we're going to crescendo into an MF, so we're slightly louder than we were when we got into the A notes. Now, the whole first 6 notes is part of the B flat major scale. So all of that is part of the scale. So and that's why it's good for us to learn the scales when we're learning the pieces. We then get on to the dotted rhythm in bar 1. Now this is the first of many, and we'll be playing many of these throughout the piece. When we're counting in 4, we're going to play the second and fourth beat after we count beats 2 and 4. So here is the metronome, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you get the rhythm, you're pretty much sorted for the whole piece. We need to make sure that the dotted rhythm is the full length. If you do need to take a breath, for example, just before the last grave of bar 1, then cut a little bit short and take a quick breath. But don't play louder because you suddenly got a fresh breath. So here is a demo of the first phrase. Now after that F note before the quaver is actually one of the places we can take a breath fairly naturally because it's halfway through the phrase. Now the second half of the phrase is very similar in rhythm. We're starting off with a quaver upbeat instead of 4 notes, but bar 3 and bar 1 has exactly the same rhythm and the melody shape, and we're just going to end bar 4 slightly differently with a quaver rest, because that's where we're going to take a breath for our second phrase. Now on bar 4 we're going to do decrescendo from MF when we start on bar 1 onto the MP on bar 5. So here's a demo of the first phrase. If you manage to do the whole phrase from bar 1 to bar 4 in one breath, then actually it helps us to do the diminuendo halfway through. So here's a demo of doing it in one breath. So that's where the diminuendo helps us, the out of breath helping us with the diminuendo. Bar 5 to bar 8 has exactly the same rhythm compared to bar 1 and bar 4. Now look out for bar 6 because it has an E natural unlike bar 7 and 8. So here is bar 5 and bar 6. Compared to if we had a B flat. So we want the E natural here. Now, bar 7 to 8 is essentially the same rhythm and the same shape, but we're ending slightly differently compared to bar 5 and bar 6. Now, it's a third higher, and we're also louder as well. In bar 5 to bar 6, we're in MP, crescendo and decrescendoing, and then bar 7 to 8, we are in MF, crescendo and decrescendoing. So here's a demo of bar 5 to bar 8 with the dynamics. again, we want to do all of this in one breath. Before we start playing on bar 9, we have a quaver rest from bar 8 and then a crotchet rest on bar 9. Now we need to be careful when we're counting on coming in on bar 9 because we're actually matching up with the piano on the high notes. So here is the piano accompaniment from halfway from bar 8. So that ba ba bum from the piano accompaniment is actually matching up with what we're playing on here. So let's trying to come in with the piano on that one. So I'm not going to play before we start playing on bar 9. So that's that. So on bar 9 we're starting off with an MP. We have a B flat octave jump. Now the good thing about that is that we have the same fingerings for both the B flats. Second thing is we're doing a crescendo onto the MF. Now an octave jump is a very natural way for us to do a crescendo. So here is a demo on the crescendo. Once we get to the MF, we're sustaining that until we get to bar 11, and then we're doing the crescendo onto bar 12. Now on bar 9 we also see the A flat for the first time, so that reminder of fingering is everything on the left hand and the pinky on the right hand. So ideally we want to do bar 9 to bar 12 in one breath. If you really need to, then you can take a breath just before you play the crotchets. But there's not really a good way to not break that up without disrupting the music or the rhythm, so if you can, try not to breathe there. Before we come into bar 13, we are going to hear the piano play 4 quaver notes as we do the 2-beat rest. So here is what the piano is going to play. And then when we get to the C note, we're going to be playing with the piano on this note. So here's the demo of coming with the piano. I'm going to rewind the piano from slightly backwards. So that's how you come in with the piano. We're back to a mezzo forte here with lots of flats. So because we are now in the A flat major, so remember those flat fingerings, the D flats, the A flats, the B flats, the E flats, the D flats. We are the same with the melody from bar 1 to bar 3, and it's a third higher than the first phrase. We're going to end it differently with the last note now hanging on for 3 beats instead of getting the same rhythm back again. In terms of dynamics, we are starting on an MF, staying on an MF until bar 16, where we do a decrescendo into MP on bar 17. We then have a quaver rest. We'll take a deep breath before we start the long notes that we need to control the last C note on an MP for 8 beats. Now it has said if you do need to take a breath, you can take one between bar 18 and 19, but it's going to be a lot nicer if you can hold that breath. So here's a demo of the last phrase. Remember that last note needs to be 10 beats long in total. And that's the whole of the piece. But that was a deep dive into the B2 piece Once Upon a Time by Karen Takana. I think this piece could be slightly harder if you need to build your breathing techniques and your lung capacity for the intended breathing. Either if you just started on your flute journey, or you're a returning player, or you're out of practice, etc, etc. Especially with the controlling of the dynamics as well as the long notes. But there are spaces for us to add in extra breath, such as halfway through the phrases, or as they said before the last quaver of bar 1 and in similar places. The rhythm of this piece is quite simple and it sounds very nice, so this could be a good choice for you as well. Hopefully that was useful to you. I'll be putting up the rest of the pieces soon for grade 2. Give a like and subscribe if you like what I did here. Put a comment down there below if you want me to go for anything specific, or you've got other tips and tricks for other players. And I'll see you next time in the next video of Master of None. Bye!